The spotlight found Michael Jackson when he was only 5 years old. While other children played with toys and chased fireflies in summer twilight, he stood on stage in smoky nightclubs, singing for crowds who saw him as entertainment, not as a child. His father, Joseph, watched from the wings with eyes that demanded perfection. One missed note meant punishment. One wrong step meant shame. The Jackson 5 became America's sensation, but behind the sequined costumes and synchronized moves, Michael's childhood slipped away like sand through desperate fingers. He remembered the hotel rooms, the endless rehearsals, the sound of his father's voice cutting through any moment of joy. While fame brought money and screaming fans, it stole something irreplaceable, the simple freedom to be young. Michael watched other kids through limousine windows, playing in parks, riding bicycles, living lives he could only imagine. His brothers felt the same pressure, but Michael carried an additional weight. He was the special one, the gifted one, the one everyone watched. That gift became his prison. As he grew older, the mirror became his enemy. His father mocked his appearance, called him ugly, destroyed whatever fragile confidence a young boy tries to build. Those words burrowed deep, planting seeds of insecurity that would bloom into decades of pain. The world saw a superstar being born, but inside that small body lived a boy who just wanted someone to hold him without wanting something in return. He smiled for the cameras because that's what they demanded. But when the lights went dark and the crowds went home, Michael was left alone with the echoing silence of a childhood that never was, haunted by the simple question that would follow him forever. What if someone had just let him be a kid? Adulthood didn't bring freedom, it brought expectations that grew heavier with each record-breaking album. Thriller changed everything. Suddenly Michael wasn't just famous, he was a phenomenon that transcended music, race, and borders. The albums sold millions, the videos became cultural events, and his moonwalk defied gravity itself. Every move he made was dissected, celebrated, copied by millions. He had achieved what most artists only dream about, he became immortal in the public consciousness. But immortality is a lonely throne. Behind the gates of Neverland Ranch, Michael built a world that made sense to him. The amusement park rides, the zoo animals, the architecture, critics called it bizarre, but it was his attempt to create the childhood he never had. He invited sick children to visit, kids who faced their own battles, and he connected with them in ways adults never understood. They didn't want anything from him except companionship. They didn't judge his strangeness because they knew what it meant to feel different. But the world grew suspicious. A grown man who preferred the company of children seemed wrong to people who couldn't see the broken boy still living inside him. The media turned from celebration to speculation. What was he hiding? Why didn't he act normal? Each question felt like another stab, another reminder that he would never fit into the boxes society demanded. His appearance changed, surgeries that he claimed were minimal but that transformed his face into something the public debated endlessly. Was it body dysmorphia? Was it his father's cruel words still echoing? Or was it simply the desperate attempt of someone trying to erase the person he was told he should be ashamed of? The paradox consumed him. Millions loved Michael Jackson the performer, but did anyone truly love Michael Jackson the person? He gave everything on stage, his voice, his dance, his soul, and audiences took it gratefully. But when he stepped off that stage, the applause faded, and he returned to rooms filled with hangers-on, employees, and people whose love came with price tags. The accusations came like thunder in 1993. A child claimed abuse. The media frenzy that followed was merciless, vicious, relentless. Suddenly the man who had united the world with music became a monster in headlines. It didn't matter that he maintained his innocence. It didn't matter that the case was settled without admission of guilt. In the court of public opinion, suspicion became conviction, and Michael Jackson became the villain of his own story. He tried to continue. He married, hoping companionship might quiet the voices of doubt swirling around him. But marriages built under media microscopes rarely survive, and his didn't. Lisa Marie Presley, then Debbie Rowe, both relationships ended, leaving him more isolated than before. His children became his anchor, the three people he fought desperately to protect from the spotlight that had destroyed him. He covered their faces in public, desperate to give them the anonymity he never had. The second round of accusations in 2003 nearly destroyed him. The trial was a spectacle, cameras, protesters, daily headlines turning his pain into entertainment. Michael appeared in court in pajamas one day because his back pain was so severe. The media mocked him. Comedians made him their punchline. The jury eventually acquitted him on all charges, but the verdict didn't restore what was lost. His reputation lay in ruins. His finances crumbled. The man who had once been untouchable now couldn't walk down a street without seeing disgust or curiosity in people's eyes. Depression wrapped around him like chains. Prescription medications became his escape, little pills that promised relief from anxiety, insomnia, and the crushing weight of being Michael Jackson. His physical health deteriorated. The performances that once came effortlessly now required intense preparation. He was only in his 40s, but his body carried decades of stress, pain, and exhaustion. Friends worried, but getting close to Michael meant navigating layers of security, handlers, and his own deep distrust of people's motives. By 2009, Michael Jackson needed resurrection. Not the spiritual kind, the financial kind. Neverland was gone, sold to avoid foreclosure. His debts had climbed into hundreds of millions. The catalogue of Beatles songs he'd wisely purchased years ago had been sold. Everything that represented security was slipping away. When AEG Live proposed This Is It, a series of 50 concerts at London's O2 Arena, Michael saw it as his chance to remind the world why they had loved him in the first place. He was terrified, excited, and desperately hopeful all at once. Rehearsals began, and glimpses of the old Michael emerged. The voice still held magic. The moves, though less explosive, still carried grace. Footage from those rehearsals shows a man trying to reconnect with his gift, surrounded by dancers and musicians who wanted to help him succeed. He worked obsessively on the details, the lighting, the effects, the story each song would tell. This wasn't just a concert series, it was his statement that he still mattered, that he could still move souls with his art. But his body was failing. The insomnia that had plagued him for years had become unbearable. Sleep, simple, natural sleep, eluded him night after night. His personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, made a catastrophic decision. He began administering propofol, a powerful anesthetic meant for surgery, to help Michael sleep. It was dangerous, reckless, and ultimately fatal. Michael believed he needed sleep to perform. Murray believed he was helping. Both were tragically wrong. Behind closed doors at his rented mansion, Michael's children saw their father struggling. Prince, Paris, and Blanket knew him not as the king of pop but as Dad, the man who did voices for them, who created adventures, who tried desperately to be present despite his brokenness. They didn't understand the full weight he carried, how every day felt like a battle between who he had been and who he was becoming. June the 25th, 2009, started like any other exhausting day. Michael had rehearsed the night before, pushing through fatigue and pain. He came home to the Holmby Hills mansion in the early hours. Dr. Murray was there, ready with the drugs that promised rest. Michael's desperation for sleep had become all-consuming. Nothing else worked anymore, not pills, not meditation, not exhaustion itself. He begged for the propofol, calling it his milk because of its white appearance. Murray prepared the four. Michael closed his eyes, hoping for a few hours of peace before another day of preparation began. But this time, sleep became something else. His breathing slowed. His heart struggled. Dr. Murray, distracted and negligent, didn't notice until it was too late. The frantic 911 call came at 12:22 p.m. Paramedics arrived to find Michael Jackson unresponsive, his body already shutting down. They tried desperately to revive him during the ambulance ride to Ucla Medical Center. Doctors continued efforts, but the damage was done. At 2:26 p.m., Michael Jackson was pronounced dead. He was 50 years old. The world stopped. News spread instantly across every platform, every country, every language. People who had mocked him days before suddenly remembered only his music. His death united the planet in grief the way his life had united it in music. Millions mourned, not just for the artist but for the tragedy of his existence, a man who gave everything and received so little of what he truly needed. His children appeared at his memorial service, Paris tearfully telling the world that her daddy was the best father anyone could imagine. Those words revealed the final, painful truth. Michael Jackson, for all his failures and struggles, loved fiercely in the only space where he felt safe, with his children. He had tried to give them what no one gave him, unconditional love without expectation. The legacy is complex. The music remains timeless, songs that define generations and will define generations to come. But the life behind those songs was a tragedy of lost innocence, misplaced trust, and a desperate search for love that applause could never satisfy. Michael Jackson proved you can have the world's adoration and still die lonely. He showed us that fame is not love, that talent is not protection, and that even kings can break. His story isn't just about music, it's a warning about what we do to the people we elevate, how we consume their gifts and forget their humanity. In the end, the boy who never had a childhood became the man who never found peace, and the king who needed love more than applause left the stage far too soon.